we want to do an audience poll. Uh, are we ready, Shama?
Yes, you can go for it.
Okay. So here's the poll in front of you. So if I have to give you a birthday gift, which is very nice at the beginning of the session, right? You choose any of the three phones, an Apple iPhone 11, a Samsung A51, or a ZTE Nubia Red Magic 5G. You have around 30 seconds. Quick, maybe you can just receive your birthday gift. You never know, right? So let's do a quick poll. And then we'll see the results, and from there we'll move on. Huh? So please just hit the button, click, and let's view the results. Right. Whoa. Okay. Well, that's no surprise, right? So 83% has chosen an Apple iPhone 11, 11% a Samsung A51, and 6% a Nubia Red Magic 5G. Very interesting, right? I mean, Samsung and Nubia are probably almost close, and Apple is the by far winner. Excellent. Okay, thank you for polling with me. So with that, I think we can easily transition mystery over competitive advantage, right? And if you can crack this mystery, there you go, and make no jokes about it, that then you are a deserving chief product officer for tomorrow, right? So what's the mystery around it? So what is competitive advantage? That's the first question. And the second question is how to secure this competitive advantage. Huh? So let's see. So competitive advantage is nothing but a willingness to pay by the customer. So if the customer has a greater willingness to pay, you have a more competitive advantage. Simple as that, right? And if the customer has a lower willingness to pay, you have to position your product based on the cost. So you don't have competitive advantage there. Now, how to secure? Very simple. You increase the willingness to pay, right? Now the point is that you say, hey, Subhayu, hey, listen. What you're saying is very simple. How do I increase the willingness to pay, right? Well, yeah, that is what I needed to figure out for 21 years. I'm still figuring it out, right? But I can share you some glimpses of it. Okay, so here comes the guru, my guru, and he's inspired me to come to this world. So this is his quote, right? He says there's a very simple formula, which is that you come closer to the customer ever, to your customer, so that you can tell the customer before even they realize what you need, right? So that's where the magic is, right? And there is nothing else. If you master this, that's it. You will be able to create competitive advantage. Now here, I want you to understand that here we are then talking about customers. So you literally have to get inside the consumer psychology, right? You have to get inside the brain of the customer. So I want you to do this with me. Yeah, I want to do this icebreaker with me, and so that you don't also sleep. So do some evening exercise for folks in India, and for the rest of the world as well, to do some exercise. So rotate your right hand in a clockwise. Yeah. So do it with me. Okay. So you rotate your right hand in a clockwise, and now stop it and rotate your left hand anti-clockwise. Okay. Try this. Doing it? Promise me? Yeah. Cool. Now try and do them together. And if you fail, just laugh. Huh? So you see? Now please do share your experience on the chat and how you feel about it. Yeah. So was it difficult, easy? Was it interesting? So yeah, doing the same together. Okay. So here, let me see. I haven't been monitoring the chat. Okay, I have it. Indeed interesting. Okay. It was fun, right? Cool. Difficult to do. Superb. Okay, good. So I have some insights now. So here it is. Thank you for messaging. So, and this is very, very important as a product manager. And this is a part of consumer psychology. Why? Because your right hand and your left hand works out of different parts of the brain, right? So your right hand works out of the left brain, your left hand works out of the right brain. So one side of the brain is dealing with emotions. The other side is a logical part of the brain. All of us know that, right? So what happens is when we are emotional, we think from one part of the brain, which is fine. When we are practical, logical data, we think from the other side of the brain, which is also fine in isolation. But what if we want to think in a 360 degree? We want to think both, take the emotional parts and also take the logical parts together, right? So that we have a better picture. Then this is what happens. That means that corporate psychology says, or rather customer psychology says, that the person cannot think at the same time on two dimensions. They cannot be practical and emotional at the same time. So at a given point of time, you're either using your emotions or you're using the practical sides of your brain. You cannot do it at the same time. So that's a very, very important aspect that you have to understand for your customer. Why? Now I come straight to another point is, what is imagine the brain as a house, huh? So you use your bedroom for sleeping, you use your kitchen for cooking, right? You use your living room to watch TV, relax. You cannot be at two places at the same time. And that is how your thoughts are, right? So your thoughts about, sleeping are on this side of the brain, your thoughts about studying are on this side of the brain, so on and so forth. Question now is that where is the buying decision? Which part of the brain is the buying decision, right? So the buying decision is not a practical decision, it's an emotional decision. And that's a very deep inside of your customer that you have to understand. And of course, nobody understood it better than Steve Jobs, huh? He never declared it publicly, but these are corporate strategies which you can, your customer strategies, which when you take further courses, etc., you get to understand deeper. But a simple fact, buying decision is an emotional decision. It's an impulsive decision. Please consider that when you're making your product. What does that mean? That means that when you buy a phone, you are not going to base on your megapixels or your gigahertz, etc. You are going to base on an emotional impulse and an appeal. Hey, I will buy. This is a great phone. I need it. That's it, right? It's like romance, huh? When you're romancing, oh wow, I'm mad, right? And then when life hits you after marriage, etc., I don't know if your views change, yeah? But so take it with that thing, yeah. Okay, moving on. So once you have your customers psychology sorted, let's look at the exercise that I did. Let's look at it from a product management theory perspective. So this is your diffusion curve or your product adoption cycle, yeah. So you can see there are 5 types of customers, and only 16% of the customers of your customers will be the innovators and the early adopters. So these innovators and early adopters are the tech enthusiasts and the visionaries who are basically excited with the product features, yeah. So they are very practical people who are the the left brain thinkers. So they are all the practical people. They get excited with the technology, products, etc. For them, for this market, 16% of the market, as A51 sort of a product will appeal. But the majority, which is the 84% of the market, don't really care about it. So what do their buying decision is based on impulses and emotions. So how you create that? And your success product cannot be successful with only 16% of the population, right? So this is the first theory that I wanted to introduce. But before that, we've seen the practical aspects, yeah? Now, let's look at another psychology theory from Maslow, where Maslow says that there are 3, and this is very important from a product perspective. So there are 3 different needs of a human being: a basic need, a psychological need, and a fulfillment need. Right? Now, in order to sell any product, the minimum thing you have to do is to find out the basic needs and give it to them, right? And then the price, or the value of the product can be increased as you move from the basic to the psychological need to the self-fulfillment need. Yeah, the psychological needs are love, belongingness, esteem. I'm somebody in life. Everybody wants to be somebody. Yeah. And the self-fulfillment need is about creativity, music, art, something, right? But at first you need to feed yourself. So that's a basic need. So basic safety needs, etc. So these are the hierarchy of needs. Now, when I look at it, as I said, the product, the willingness to pay of a customer at a basic need is basic, right? But as your product appeals to the psychological need, the willingness to pay will increase. Now, the more and more your product appeals to more psychological needs and more self-fulfillment needs, the willingness to pay will even increase more. And it will further increase more when you actually hit the self-actuation stage of a customer. Yeah. So now if you look at another theory, which is the 5 product levels theory, or a complete product offering from Philip Kotler. So what he has said is there are 5 types of products. One is a core product, generic, expected, augmented, and potential. Yeah. Now, a core product will fulfill the basic needs of the product. A generic will fulfill a little bit more. An expected product is what the customer really wants. Yeah. And then an augmented product is giving them something extra, and a potential product is what they even didn't even think about, and that can really wow them. Yeah. So these are 5 levels of a product. Now your product has to also move up the curve. Right? Now here is the third theory to discuss with you, which is the Kano model. Yeah. Now the Kano model is also about customer satisfaction theory. It says that customers have 3 types of needs. One is a need which is defined as a must. 2 is a need which is defined as a want. And third one is a wow. Now, most important factor is if you keep adding the must features or the must requirements of the customer, if you see here, you can never hit a positive satisfaction. You will always be somewhere in the 0 level of satisfaction. So all your megapixels, gigahertz, etc., you keep on adding, but you cannot fully satisfy the customer with that. You have to address the product has to move from must to want to wow. Right? So if you address a few wants, the satisfaction will increase a lot. If you address 1 or 2 wow factors, that will be like ace it. Yeah. So that is where an Apple product is differentiated. Yeah. So if you see here, let's look at Apple features. The must features where the 12.5 gigahertz, 4 RAM, and 12 M camera, right? So 12 megapixel camera. So what Apple has researched is a customer does not buy megapixel. They buy a Facebook photo. They buy an Instagram photo. They buy a YouTube video, right? And these technicalities, 4 GB RAM and a 12 megapixel camera and a 12.5 gigahertz is enough for them to do all this. So they don't need higher or more technical features. As I always say, if you have to kill a mosquito, don't buy a gun, buy a spray. So you have to, more is not always good. Less is more sometimes. So that's your basic must features. Now your want. So what they discovered is a customer wants better video clarity more than anything else. So despite their 12 camera, if you see their offering in the video clarity, it has a 240 FPS of frames per second. And if you see here, the frames per second is far better than a Samsung or even a Nubia. So that is the one feature that they are standing out, because that feature matters and other features do not matter. So what intelligent selection of features. Yeah. Now look at their rear camera, and all their cameras are 12 megapixel. Do you see that on Apple iPhone 11? But in other phones, you will see the front camera 48, the rear camera 32. That means they haven't even figured out what the customer needs clearly. Yeah. Now, what is the wow factor? The wow factor is none of these. The wow factor is the music that iTunes gives you. The wow factor is the apps that Apple gives you. Yeah. And within those apps, what creative things you can do. That's why 2/3 number of apps are generating double the revenue, because those apps are appealing to your creativity. They're, you can do your music. And in fact, Apple actually pays developers to create extremely creative apps. They say, I will pay you, don't worry, but you create, that's it. So, and that Samsung does not have the luxury to do, because they don't own an iOS. They have to look forward to Google, right? And why should Google do that? So, this is where the strategy is coming into play. So now if you look at all the three strategies that I talked about, how they all marry together, yeah, and how they all gel up. So you can see that basic needs becomes a must, and that's a core product. The safety needs also becomes a must. That's a generic product. The psychological need becomes a want. That's your expected product. And a self-fulfillment need becomes a wow. That's your potential or augmented product. Right? Now, each how you layer each type of products into one product is the important thing. So clearly, the problem with other phones is they have focused so much on core product and they have bloated the core product so much, but they haven't even worked on the expected and augmented product level. Yeah, make sense? And so bottom line is super simple. You just have to increase the appeal from basic to psychological to self-fulfillment. Yeah, and it can work in phone industry or any other industry. So you see your WTP, which is your willingness to pay, increases as you keep adding the layers of product one after the other. So your aim should be always to start from core, but go to the potential. But don't get so wowed about the potential, because you have to start from the core, because if you don't offer a core offering, if you don't give me rice, I'm not going to have the nice curry. Yeah, so you should have your core ready as well. Now let's see about Steve Jobs, how he did that. So there is something known as accessibility versus availability. So let me talk about accessibility and availability from my personal experience. Yeah. So when I was in teens and school, I was dating. One of my friend was also dating his school friend. So he used to visit his girlfriend every day, 30 days a month. And every day he would give a gift. Now, we are not working at that time. We are poor people. So he would one day give her a flower, one day give her a letter, and some other day he would, buy her some chocolates. So he had a budget of around 200 rupees a month. So he would spend that. Now, my girlfriend used to visit me only once a month. And in that once a month, so I made sure that all my 200 rupees are being spent on a nice and expensive gift, right? So I would buy her nice pendants, nice necklaces, nice dresses, etc. So, after I got married, I asked her, hey, why would why did you sort of meet me not more frequently? Why did you meet me just once a month? She said, hey, if I met you every day like the other girl, you would have every day given me flowers and letters. What happened to my expensive gifts? Right? So that day, she taught me one thing about accessibility and availability. So your product should be accessible enough to create an appeal, but should not be available enough to make it cheap. Yeah. So how does Apple create that accessibility and create that appeal, that magic? So on your right hand side, you can see Steve Jobs on the stage. From the launch, there he creates the desirability. Remember the first iPhone? He said, hey, this is not one thing, it is three things. It's an iPod, it's the best iPod, it's the best phone, and the best internet service altogether. So he immediately created the willingness to pay thrice. So if you're willing to pay for an iPod and a phone and an internet separately, well, you pay double the amount of a phone. That's it, right? So that's the technique of creating a willingness to pay. Now, look at the customer experience. Now, look at their website that is on the bottom picture. What an appealing website, right? What a great customer experience. And then everything around the communication, the buzz, the news, the blog, the social media, the expert views, everybody talking about an iPhone, right? So that's how you create a niche and you create a desirability, right? Before even the product. So you have to understand the journey of the customer, right? And track the journey, not just at buying point, yeah, from the beginning of the journey to create a desirability, then create a buying decision, and then create a buying experience, and then go on to create after sales experience, so on and so forth. That's how you create a bigger lifetime value of your customer. Okay. Now, as I said, the more you do this, see, the more the willingness to pay increases, right? Seems very simple. Now, let's wrap it up with whatever we have discussed. So the core of the competitive advantage that we were talking about is because of, one, the security that Apple provides. Yeah. You can see the app stores, the options of creativity that the app stores provide, and the music and the appeal to the customers. Yeah. Now, also let's look at the product launches, which is even before the buying the product, the great product launches. The great buying experience, this is the most unique feature. You buy an Apple phone, you feel like I have arrived in life. I have done something in life, right? Like somebody says, I'm a VP, and somebody says, no, 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 I'm an Apple phone owner, right? So that's the statement. It appeals to your esteem. You feel. But when I buy a Samsung A51 or any other phone, the buying experience is not there, right? A crowded shop, and the owner makes me feel not so wanted. No? Then the next is the after sales. So even after the sales, the support that your product has to offer, right? If your customer falls in has some questions, the resolving time and the way you make them feel, they feel that yes, I'm a VIP, I'm being treated like one even after the sales. So important is not just the sale, the revenue. Important is the entire customer journey, from creating desirability to making the product accessible and making people aware, to the buying experience of the customer, to the after sales experience of the customer, and protecting the customer from the entire journey from start to finish, so that the customer now can change over to your next product that you're going to offer in the platform. Yeah. So that is what Apple does.